There it goes. So I don't know why you're all here, frankly. I heard Stu's talking at the same time, and so you're here because you're friends with Stu. You've already heard him speak 17 times, and you said we need something a little different. So there we go. I appreciate being the consolation prize. Today we're going to talk a little bit about reviews, why they're important, how to get more, what to do if you get a bad one. The reality is, if you're in business for any period of time, it does not matter. You're going to have somebody that has a negative experience. We're going to provide you with some tools to combat that and to do it in a way that can actually be a positive for you. So to get started a little bit, I appreciate the introduction. Work with a lot of different brands, Costco, US Bank, Experian, are brands that we've done a lot of marketing campaigns and initiatives with across all sorts of different things like SEO, pay-per-click advertising. But we also, as of late, because of the impact that reviews have on internet marketing and on brands, reputations, and ultimately the bottom line, we've developed a product to help local businesses get more reviews. So we'll jump into that. Here's kind of the quick agenda there. The most important part is really how do we help you get more reviews and what to do when we get those negative ones. So a little bit of history lesson real quick. Reviews started back in 1999 with some of the first original review websites. Not very many reviews there. You can see that we had a little over 1 million reviews. I tried to find a recent Google number, but they're kind of tight-lipped about how many reviews they've had, but rest assured it's quite a bit more than 1 million. But reviews since the late 90s, early 2000s, companies or e-commerce retailers like eBay and things like that started coming into play, and reviews really started to take off at that point in time. Nowadays, we've got players like Google, Facebook, Yelp, the BBB, and TripAdvisor are some of the largest or most trusted review sites that are around today, and we'll get into that in a little bit. So, how do reviews impact your business? There's a lot of studies that have been done recently. Bright Local releases some. There's several studies that are cranked out here. But right now, 85% of the U.S. population trusts local reviews or trust reviews as much as personal recommendations. So when I heard that said, it kind of blew my mind a little bit, because if somebody comes to me, a buddy of mine, and says, hey, you've got to try out this restaurant, or hey, here's the plumber that you need to use, that holds quite a bit of weight with me. But 85% of U.S. says that an online recommendation is just as good as that kind of a personal recommendation. Okay, that's the scary thing about that is we have very little control over something once it is published. And so unless we've got an offensive strategy to really go out and gather those reviews and make sure that they're higher quality reviews, you have zero control, you're 100% reactive, and you're toast. Okay? The next part of this is how does it influence click-through rates? Right now, this study is back in 2017. The 18 results haven't been released yet. But you can see what your star rating does to your click-through rate. So let's say you've spent tens of thousands of dollars on your SEO and on your website. You're getting really great rankings. You're inside of the local 3-pack. And all of a sudden, you get several negative reviews, and you're kind of down in this 3-star range. The reality is that you're going to get about 44% click-through rate. Typically, we don't see click-through rates quite that high, but a lot of searchers, when it comes to local results, click on 2 or 3 or even 4 different results so that they can do some comparison shopping. In this case, if you have a 3-star review, your click-through rate goes down to 44%. Okay, the reality is that's roughly 50% fewer clicks than if you had a 5-star review. That's the impact. Again, the scary thing is unless you are taking the initiative here, you are 100% reactionary. The next part of this, so that was the local pack. It's similar impact if you're just inside of the the organic results. If you had a 3-star, you're at 11% click-through rate versus 19%. It's pretty staggering what that can do for you. The other thing that's interesting here is, as far as the impact that local reviews have, is it is by far and away the number one reason that local clients, local consumers. Yeah.
What does local pack mean?
Good question. What's local pack mean? Anybody know? Go ahead, please.
It's when you Google something, it's like there's 3 results that show up.
Great. It's when you do a local search for a dentist, say for example, 3 of them pop up with a map next to it. That's the local pack. Yeah. That answer your question? Okay. Yeah, please.
Is that something that you pay to get into, or is that do your reviews affect if you?
Good question. There's about 200 different components that go into who ranks inside the local pack, okay? That's Google's algorithm. Google has several different algorithms. One is what shows up in the Maps results, that's what that is. And reviews are one of the 5 most important things for determining whether you show up inside that section. Okay, other things are business name, address, phone number, how close you are to the proximity to search, how strong your SEO profile is. Okay, that includes backlinks and on-page things like that. Does that help answer your question? Any other questions about that? Okay, and please stop me. I don't want to continue on to just kind of go through this. So when users were asked, how did you pick a business from Google's local pack, all of these different things, it's interesting to me that positive reviews and ultimately the star rating was by far and away the #1 choice. Again, you'll hear me say this several times. If you're not actively pursuing reviews, or if you do not have a strategy, you are 100% reactionary here. And it is by a multiplier of 5 or 6, it is the most important thing when local businesses determine, or local consumers determine whether they're going to do business with you. There's a lot of different review websites out there. These are the most trusted. Google, Yelp, Facebook, TripAdvisor, Yellow Pages, BBB. BBB is kind of nice because sometimes it's not as easily influenced as some of the others. Yelp, a little bit dangerous there. A lot of experts have done some studies that say about 20% of the reviews on Yelp are fake. Okay, again, you don't have a lot of control over it. And if you're being reactionary, you're at the mercy of some of these fake reviews. Now, where do those fake reviews come from? Any thoughts? Yelp. Okay, they've got some coder back there cranking out reviews. Okay, that could be. Other thoughts?
Oh no, we had lights set up in there.
Yep, we're one of those companies. We love you. We'll call you tomorrow. Yeah, but we've got a lot of companies saying, "Hey, we'll help you get more reviews." Okay, that could be part of it. Other thoughts? Where do other fake reviews come from? Ouch. And that is a reality. Okay, it is not uncommon for a competitor who has questionable ethics to jump onto your Yelp, Google, or other profile and leave you a review. Google's fairly good about that kind of stuff. Okay, they're fairly good about identifying. Wait a minute, you've got an Android phone or you use Google Maps. We see that you're not anywhere near that business location. That seems like a pretty shady review to me. However, there are still fake reviews all over the place, especially Yelp. TripAdvisor is also another one that has a lot of fake reviews. But your competitors can leave you a review at any point in time. And again, if you don't have a strategy, an active strategy in place, you're setting yourself up to be in bad shape. This is it. The first slide that we showed there. 93% of consumers read reviews. Only 7% of the U.S. population doesn't look at reviews when deciding who to do business with. Okay, the idea of being able to put our head in the sand and say, reviews aren't all that important. Don't need to really take a strategy on that. It's going to happen organically. We offer great customer service. No, that's not going to do it for you. Right now, I'm sorry, we met earlier. What was your name again? Janice? Excellent. I come up to you and I say, hey, let's do business together. You own a bike shop. Thank you for the bike. It was incredible. And on my way out, you say, hey, will you leave us a review? Most business owners, in some way, ask for some type of review. The reality is, I will leave your business, and if you just ask me, hey, will you leave me a review? You have a 1% chance of getting a review from me. That's it. We all have, as Americans, we have great intentions. Oh my gosh, that was a fantastic restaurant. That carpet cleaner did a great job. I love my dentist. We all have good intentions of leaving reviews, but the reality is we're all busy. It's not like it's super easy or friendly to be able to jump on there, find the business, leave the review. No, I've got 5 kids. I've got other things I've got going on. But if you follow that up with technology, say for example an email or a text message or other things, we can increase those rates. However, 93% of users read reviews, only 1% actually leave reviews. When looking at a local business, what's important as far as the reviews go, the average star rating is still the #1 most important thing. However, the thing that I think is interesting is this is still a very important piece. It's gone down a little bit over the recent years. I imagine that it's not going to go down very much more in 2018. But people don't trust this. Some of the other research shows that people are trusting reviews that are 6 months older less and less and less. And so we have to have a decent amount of velocity coming through for those reviews. Otherwise, people don't trust the rating. They might look at it and say, well, yeah, that plumber was fantastic 2 years ago, but things change. And so if you have, and Google is now starting to understand this as well, if you have fewer than 6 reviews in the past 6 months, you're being penalized by Google. Your results will start dropping if you don't have a high enough review velocity and if those reviews are not of a high enough caliber. Any questions on any of that so far? Everybody's good? Everybody's kind of glassy-eyed. It's after lunch. Well, it's food coma time. Okay. Let's see here. So this is more of that same kind of data. What's that review velocity? How old is that information? So how do we get more reviews? We understand they're important. They influence search results. They influence rankings, click-through rates. Ultimately, when the other nice thing about those reviews is if we have enough reviews and they're a high enough caliber, when somebody looks at our reviews, say for example, I'm a chiropractor and I've got twice as many reviews as somebody else, instantly they look at that and say, oh my gosh, I can trust that company. The sales process is halfway done at that point. You just have to not screw it up. And so that's another wonderful benefit here. So how do we get more of these reviews? So here's some tips. Right off the bat, you need to ask for that review right at the time of service or transaction. So again, let's say I'm a pest control guy. I come in, spray for bugs. Right there at the doorstep when I get your credit card, that's when I'm asking you for a review. If you wait a couple of minutes, a couple of hours, or even worse, do it, ask for a review later on that night in the form of an email or a text message, your chances of getting that review go from maybe as high as 20% down to 2, maybe 3%. Okay? Ask right away. Ask right there at the counter, right there at the doorstep, whatever your business model is, ask right away for that review. It's also nice if we personalize that request. Okay? So in the case of if you're sending out an email or a text message, put the person's name in there. Take the time to do that, and you'll see higher review rates from those types of activities. The last one there, make the review process easy. Again, if I just ask you when I'm at the doorstep, hey, will you leave us a review? Yes, we will. Great, we appreciate that. And I leave 1% chance. That's it. But if I follow that up with a text message or an email, the chances go up pretty significantly because it makes it that much easier to leave that review. Oftentimes what that is here I'm going to send you a link to our Google My Business listing or to our Facebook page or our page on Yelp, whatever it is. That's the best way to do that. It's oftentimes really advantageous to ask for that review in more ways than just one. So again, we're all very busy. Even if you send a text message with a service like ours, that text message, if you send it right away, we've got about a 20 to 30% chance of getting a review from that person. However, if we follow that up with another text message or an email the next day to those that didn't leave that review, we can continue to get those rates higher and higher and higher, maybe even as high as 50%. Okay, for a lot of us business owners, 50% review rate would be phenomenal. We can get to that if we invite them in multiple ways. Another way to get reviews is to respond to reviews. Now remember, if I came to your business in the first place, chances are I read reviews. And on average, the average prospect will read 7 reviews when they're looking at a company. So if you have less than 7 reviews, get more reviews, don't you? Okay? But if you have more than 7 reviews, they're going to read about 7. Okay? In that process, they will see if you respond to reviews. That's massively important. It promotes trust, credibility. It says that you care about what your customers think. And that, again, psychologically helps move the prospect down the conversion funnel. Okay? The sales process is being done for you. So respond to reviews. There's also another study that was recently done that showed, yeah, please.
So respond to all reviews, positive and negative?
I say respond to all. Okay, now that does take a little bit of time. It obviously takes some monitoring. It takes somebody sitting there that has the capability, but also the personality to respond to reviews. And we'll talk about negative ones in a second. That one's a hot topic. But even for positive reviews, hey, thanks, Julie. We really appreciate your feedback. Look forward to seeing you again. Doesn't have to be anything long, but just says something that says, thank you. You took the time to give us a review. We'll take the time to thank you publicly. Again, that has some really positive things for people that are reading those 7 reviews. If they see, my gosh, they respond to each one of these things, that's going to go a long way for you. Does that help? Yeah. Any other questions on that? Okay, you've got one, I know you do.
I don't have a question. I'll
Okay.
wait till the negative review.
Excellent, we'll get into that. So we do recommend responding to review. The last one that we all want to know what it is. Andy, can you take a look at that for me? The last one there is, and I hesitate to even say this, but it is an option. You can incentivize reviews. A lot of times that violates the terms of service. Yelp, it violates that. They scream it all over their website. Don't incentivize reviews. Google, that violates their terms of service as well. What I mean by that is, hey, if you review me, we'll enter you for this cruise package. Okay, we'll have a raffle. That's an incentive. If Google or Yelp finds out, hey, that you're doing that on a consistent basis, there is the chance that your reviews will be removed. As a strategy, we at ReviewLift, we do not recommend that. Don't do it. However, your competitors may be doing it, and they may be getting a lot of reviews for that. So it's just something that we'll throw out there. With that said, don't do it. Or don't tell me to do it. Okay? So let's see, I think that was all those. I can't stress it enough. Utilize technology, folks. The average text message, 95% of text messages are read within the first 3 minutes. Use texting, okay? That doesn't have to be rocket science. We offer a service. Go talk to Jenna over at the booth that does use text messaging to generate reviews as well as emails. But it can just be as simple as sending a quick text on your phone, okay? Provide the link to your Google or Facebook or Yelp pages. That's a fantastic strategy. That will get you as much as a 20%, maybe even 30% review rate. Okay, email is an effective strategy. However, if all of your inboxes look like mine, I'm not reading a whole lot of emails that are asking for reviews. That's the reality. If you send out an email, your review rate is somewhere between 3 and 5%. 5 is very rare. 3 is very common. If you batch and blast, so you save them all up for a week and send them out on the weekend, you're probably going to get about a 2% review rate, and that's the reality there. But also, social media is a good way to do it. QR codes, a lot of people have the posters on their way out. They scan the QR code, leave a review. We recommend using any and all tactics to be able to generate those reviews because everybody's a little bit different. Okay? Utilize technology. So, we got a negative review. It's the end of the world. Let's go ahead and shut down business. Let's sell to our competitor, whatever it is. Everybody gets a negative review. It doesn't matter if you've been in business for any number of years, you're going to have negative clients. Okay, so what do we do when that happens? First of all, I will point out, and this kind of goes back to why we respond to negative reviews. We already mentioned that the average prospect reads 7 reviews when deciding whether to do business with you or not. In those 7 reviews, if they read a negative review, they are 40% less likely to do business with you. 40%. That's a big hit. So again, if we rely on the market to just natively bring in reviews, who's more likely to review, a happy customer or a negative customer? Negative, by like a multiplier of 50. Okay? Everybody wants to tell the world about how they've been, wronged by this horrible company, but very few will go above and beyond and say how they enjoyed it. So if they read a negative review in those 7 reviews that they're looking at, they're 40% less likely to do business with you. However, if you respond to that negative review in an appropriate way, it can actually wind up being a positive for you. As consumers, we get it. There's idiots out there. Nobody in this room, but there's idiots out there. And we understand that you cannot physically make everybody happy. It's not going to happen. And so as a consumer, I look at a negative review and I say, man, that sounds like a horrible experience. But then if the owner or somebody responsible at the business replies, and I can kind of understand, okay, this person's a little bit of a lunatic, that review doesn't count against you. And that's kind of human nature. That's what we do. So how do we respond to negative reviews? First of all, take a deep breath. Okay? Don't make it emotional. Don't make it a personal attack on you. Okay? Take a deep breath. Remember that the most important thing here to remember is you are responding in a very public format. We'll talk about what not to do, and there's a lot of fun stories about what not to do. Okay? But the most important thing, just take a deep breath, realize it's not personal, it's just business, and we'll get through this. Next one is be proactive. Okay? We've talked about it already. Be proactive. Have a system in place for getting positive reviews from your happy customers. That is the most important thing that you can do to combat negative reviews. And number 3 here, create a plan to respond. We talked about it a little bit earlier. Have a plan to respond to every single review. Okay, if you're getting hundreds of reviews a day, kudos. If you are getting a lot of reviews, maybe it's not as applicable, but you have to respond to every single negative review. If you don't, you're setting yourself up for something pretty horrible. Yeah,
How quickly do you recommend to respond to those reviews? What's the time frame?
depends on how long you need to take that deep breath. Okay, and every situation is going to be a little bit different. Okay, some of them are going to be, you get a 3-star review and it's really not that bad. Hey, no problem, we can jump on there and offer some solutions. Okay, if it was super bad, maybe just take a day. Okay, I would recommend that everything's responded to at least within 24 hours. Okay, if you don't, then things like this can go viral. Okay, and that is okay. Shut your doors, pick a new business name, etc. Okay, and so if we respond to a review quick enough, it deflates that balloon. Okay, so I would say rule of thumb, everything within 24 hours. Did that help? Okay, any other questions on that? Yeah.
Would you recommend, if we haven't responded to most of these, to go back and respond to ones that are old?
Good question.
I feel like that's like digging up old dirt, like when it kind of runs back up.
A little bit, yeah. I would start by responding to all reviews, positive and negative, when they come in. If there's something that's over, I don't know, over a year old, I would just say bury that with positive reviews and don't dig up kind of the old stuff. That would be the best approach there. Any other questions on that? Yeah.
Just the best, right? We did that. We had no strategy at all about reviews, and then we said, okay, we got to start engaging with our
Yeah.
customers to manage this, and we had a backlog of several hundred, and we said, okay, new week, starting Monday, we will respond to everything. It was just amazing how much the old stuff just stopped mattering because we were actually engaging now.
Right.
So that history didn't matter as much as we thought it would.
And part of that is you got to put on the hat of this is a marketing function now. Okay, it's public relations. It is all that kind of stuff. Don't get me wrong, but this is a marketing function. You have the opportunity to respond, and in that it becomes a marketing function. So if you look at one of those reviews and you say, you know what, this one first and foremost, it's been thumbs up or thumbs down a little bit. Right, there's some interaction that can happen there across different review platforms. If this is one that keeps coming up. Like on your customer service rep say, hey, somebody mentioned that dumb review again, I would respond to that review. If it's something that's water under the bridge, then you can kind of let it go. But remember though that it is a marketing function at that point. You have the opportunity to put your best foot forward and make it right. That's smart. Other questions, thoughts? Okay. Always take the high road. And this is why we take a deep breath, okay? Always take the high road. It's important that if you step back and you analyze all of these really horrible reviews or experiences that have gotten a lot of press, what inevitably happens is the response from the business is not handled appropriately. They'll point fingers. They'll say, well, you said something rude to the server, so yeah, she dumped the food on you. Okay, something along those lines. Don't take that approach. And if you can't take the high road, find or hire somebody in your organization that will take the high road, because otherwise it will bite you in the rear end every single time. So if you cannot respond by taking the high road, please remove yourself from the process and find somebody else that can do that for you. Okay? The next one is, and this one's a pet peeve of mine. There is the old adage, the customer is always right. No, wrong. Okay, there's some really horrible customers out there, and they're not always right. In this case, if you, let's say you own a restaurant, and somebody's unhappy about the food, and you apologize every single time. Oh, gee, I'm just so sorry. You're right, that's our fault. If I'm reading the reviews, and I read that you keep apologizing time after time after time again, you lose a tremendous amount of trust and credibility with me. And so you don't feel like you have to apologize. Okay? However, with that said, it's perfectly okay to say, I'm sorry that your experience with us did not meet your expectation. That's okay. That's not apologizing. You're not admitting fault. You're saying, I'm sorry that we missed it with you. We'd love to make that right. Okay? So don't admit fault. If it is massively egregious, I think you can at that point, because everybody knows, okay, yeah, you guys really screwed that up. But if you keep admitting fault time and time again, you'll lose a tremendous amount of credibility. Provide the reviewer with solutions. A lot of times, it may be worth the time, effort, resources, cash, whatever it is, to really go out of your way above and beyond to make something right for a negative review. Again, because this is a marketing function now, okay? Did you lose Andy? Feedback. Okay, he's holding the cord just right. So provide the reviewer with some options, okay? It can be as simple as, I'm sorry that we did not meet your expectation. I would love to talk with you about ways that we can improve our processes and systems, or ways that we can improve the time that you get your food, or whatever it is. Provide them with some options. You can also say, as an example of pest control is something we sprayed for bugs. The reviewer's mad because a week later they saw a bug. No problem. We would love to come out and retreat that for you. Okay, maybe that's going to cost you a little bit of money, but if you look at it as a marketing function, that's a perfectly acceptable expense because people see that you stand by what you do and you want to make things right. Yeah.
So if you're offering that, then you reach out to them or just let them know that in the response, and then if they contact you back, then provide it, or how's that?
Good question. So put on the reviewer hat, or the person that's looking for your service. You're reading through reviews. What would you like to read?
But if you're offering it to them, they're reading that, so that's good for them. But I'm saying you reach out to the person that reviewed you. We just run kind of where you don't know the person, you have no customer interaction with them. It's just some random person you're getting a review on. You're like, I don't even know who you are, have a relationship with you or your contact information.
Good question. Do you have a response there?
You
We'll
know,
come
I
back to
feel
it.
like if you're looking at it as a marketing tool, it doesn't matter if you actually do go and spray. It doesn't matter. I mean,
I'm just checking to make sure that's accurate.
but if every
Yes.
person that looks at your page sees, hey, this guy offered to go fix this mistake, or this guy offered, he does guarantee you. That's what your viewers see. Because when I respond, we own a restaurant, when I respond to people that do have that experience, I say on there, hey, please, give me a call, shoot me an email, come see me, I'd love to talk to you about it. I never get back to any of that.
We don't either.
I
I'm just
never-
checking that.
And it's honestly, it's going to be rare that they do.
Yeah.
In the case where the pest control one's probably a pretty good example. Yeah, hey, I've got bugs. Yeah, I'd love it if you'd come and respray. You know what's going to happen? I'm going to adjust my review when you come back and respray. And I'm going to say, you know what? They were 1 star. I gave them 3 stars now because, by golly, they stood by what they said they would do. Did that answer your?
Yeah, it did. It's kind of follow up then, so if
And
you're
we'll come back to you.
responding to them and giving them options, is it acceptable to have kind of that canned response? Please get back in touch with this person, we'd love to discuss it with you, and if there's something we need to make right, we'll do that.
Mhm.
Have that canned response, does that come off as you're just copying and pasting as you're responding?
Great question. So it can't be too plastic, okay? And again, if I'm reading 7 reviews and I see you have the same dumb response every time, that's disingenuous, okay? Can it be canned? Can you have 2 or 3 options to respond to a particular type of review? Absolutely, that's a fantastic strategy. But I would respond. I would give them options as far as, please call our main office, talk to Julie, talk to me, talk to whoever, or just ask for, just call, okay? And make that option available to them. I agree with the point that was made. 90% of people are not going to take advantage of that.
Absolutely.
All they want to know is, I was heard. Okay, somebody with enough brass to be able to update, to respond to my review, heard my issue and responded, that's going to kill most of it. But in the times where they say, yeah, you know what, I would like you to take you up on that offer to make this right to me, that's fantastic. And again, if that's in a public forum, that does fantastic things for you from a marketing perspective. Does that help? Okay. Yeah.
I'm curious, maybe some of you guys know this, or you might have the answer for us. When we respond on Google, do they get that?
Good question.
Because I
Yes.
wonder.
Yes, they do.
They do?
Yes,
In
absolutely.
what form does it go to them?
It sends, so because I'm reviewing you on Google, I have an email address that's associated with my email account. Google will say, hey, such and such a business just responded to your review. Now that happens both positive and negative.
Yeah.
If I leave a negative review, it tells me, hey, they responded. And if I leave a positive review, it also says, hey, these people responded. So again, it's very, very
So
positive.
they are getting those when we do answer.
They
They're
are.
still doing it.
Yeah, because 9 times out of 10, they just want it right.
2 days later.
Exactly. They just want it right. But in the case where they do want you to make it right, if you're able to do that, like we mentioned earlier, respond within 24 hours. If, let's say, they call you up and you fix that, while that problem is a pain point for them, you've got a decent chance of turning that around to be a very positive thing, where that negative review now becomes something where they're not going to come back and give you 5 stars. But if they came back and gave you 3 and said, hey, I was a 1 and now I'm a 3, let me tell you about my experience with them, man, that's fantastic. And the other thing is, that can't be, well, it could be faked. That's not faked, right? A lot of times. And so that comes across as very, very genuine, very helpful. Did that answer your question? Okay, great. Any other questions about the information so far? Okay, great. Let's see here. Okay, provide it with solutions. The next thing is after you give them the initial feedback, take that conversation offline. Okay, this is mainly for those instances that person is just, they hate you and they're coming for blood. Okay, you want to give them the opportunity. Don't tell them, hey, please provide me with your information inside of this review thread. No. Say, please call, please text us, please email us, please do something, and take that conversation offline. At that point, a lot of these times that we see these really horrible viral review things that are happening, it's because somebody didn't come and pour water on the fire fast enough. If you say, we've heard you, here are some possible options, and I want to talk to you, you just douse the flames. Then hopefully they will or will not, they can follow up with you. But if you take that offline, you basically kill any opportunity for that to go viral and have a really damaging effect upon your brand. Other things here, we've already talked about it a little bit, but if you do have the opportunity to make it right, and that provides a good experience, it's perfectly okay to say, hey Julie, I'm just following up with you. Did you come back and spray the bugs? Great. Would you feel comfortable updating that review for us? Well, it might happen, might not, but why not ask? That becomes a powerful tool. The last thing is be proactive. Monitor. There are free reputation monitoring tools out there. Please go find one. Please find one, plug it in. If you've got an SEO agency, beat them up on price and say, you guys need to include this for free because it's free and a lot of the tools they use. There are ways to get that information for free. There are ways through Google My Business, Yelp, and Facebook where you're also receiving notifications of reviews, but take it seriously and monitor that reputation. Any other questions or comments so far? Okay. Why respond to those negative reviews? We've talked about some of these points already, but it eliminates the virality opportunity. Again, if we respond to that review quickly, or if we provide them with an option, then a lot of times it's going to kill the deal there and kind of stamp the flames out of that. How are we doing on time? About 10 minutes?
Right.
Yes, sir.
When you say it goes viral, how does it go viral? What's going on with it?
Okay, so let's say, what kind of business do you have? Can I pick on you a little bit? Okay, what business was it? Corn maze? Okay, corn maze. All right. So I've got a 5-year-old, and she just got lost in your corn maze. Okay? That's not your fault. But I'm going to tell all my friends and neighbors. And I'm going to be so mad about it that your staff was not helpful in finding my child that I'm going to tell all of them to jump online and leave a negative review. But if I'm a friend and I jump on there and I see that you've already responded, that makes me a whole lot less inclined to leave that negative review. Another example of that is, let's say I'm not connected to the people whose kid got lost. Horrible example, by the way, sorry. Let's say I'm not connected to that, but I'm looking at reviews or whatever, and I see that negative review. If I had a negative experience, I'm going to pile it on. And I'm going to say, you know what? I had a bad experience there too. And then that can really get out of control. Does that make sense? And so if we really kind of jump on it fast, provide solutions, then we're in a much better spot. Did that answer your question? Okay, did you have a comment? We'll come over here.
I'd just say too, if you look at, I don't know, we're from Expert, I don't like an Expert page, I think that breeds more negativity than anything.
Yeah.
Because just like you said, every mom wants to hop on there. We went in, this happened, they get on there, and all the moms are like talking about everything that happened. And it just explodes, and then suddenly every mom is Expert.
And that kind of thing can absolutely happen. But if you're on there and you're vigilant about it and you start responding to each one of those, it's going to kill that. It's going to deflate that balloon. It's going to say, look, the company's really trying to make this right. And that can actually be...
Every time I see a new business, because people will always ask, if new business opens up an Expert, that page has like 25,000 people on it or something.
Yeah.
A new business will pop up, someone will say, hey, has anyone been in this place? How is it? If the first couple comments are bad,
You're
everyone
toast.
just jumps on
You're
that
toast.
wagon. And
Yeah.
it's like,
It's easy to kick them while they're down, right? Yeah!
eventually, like, the moderators of the page hop in, they're like, whoa, take a chill pill, guys, like, we don't need to get out the pitchforks.
Yeah.
So that's just, that's the.
That's the problem, not soon enough.
But, yeah, it can get bad quick.
Yeah, it can. Go ahead.
If you're in a business where you have all of your customer information, so as a review, you know whether or not they're a customer, is it appropriate or inappropriate to call out if you don't have a known relationship with the person leaving the review?
Yeah, good question. So, and this kind of happens with a lot of those fake reviews. Okay, your competitor is not going. You're not going to have a record of your competitor in the system. And so I've seen a lot of different ways of handling this. And my favorite way is, again, first of all, take a deep breath. It's not personal. Second of all, take the high road. Okay, it would be really easy to come across and be really bratty. Oh my gosh, we totally don't know who you are. You know, that's not what we're going for. It's, dear sir, sir, madam, we have looked in our records, and I am so sorry, but we cannot find your record to make this right. How can we help you? Please call. And that's the appropriate way to do that, and it also kind of sends the signal to the people reading that review. That looks a little fishy to me. There's been some other ones that have kind of had fun with it, and anyway, that's my recommendation.
That's appropriate as long as it's handled.
Absolutely. Take the high road, and the point behind that is we want to make this right, but we can't find your information to call you. We would love to make it right, though.
Yeah.
That's a good way to do that. Come here and then right here.
I was going to just follow up. I've heard of other businesses and seen it where they try to respond with either comedic or kind of snarky or something like that. How do you feel about that in your scope?
For me, that's a marketing function. I'm not snarky in my marketing. Okay, my marketing is professional, it's courteous, it's welcoming, inviting. Snarky, there was one really clever one on Yelp. They've had
Or
a...
clever, I should say
Yeah.
clever.
Yeah, snarky, like one of them, they had this big board outside, it was a sandwich shop. They had this board up that said, please come in and try the world's worst meatball sandwich according to that one guy on Yelp. Okay, that's funny. That was well done. Okay, I'd look at that and just kind of chuckle, and then maybe I'll walk on in. That is the exception rather than the rule. There are hundreds of thousands of examples of ways to not do that, or somebody trying to do it, and it just backfired. For me, and for the recommendations we give our clients, high road. High road every single time, just because it could backfire. Did that help out?
Yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
awesome. Yeah.
See, that's what I was gonna ask too, because there's one, I'm the admin or whatever, so I get email
Uh-huh.
every time I get Google review. And I remember one day I was in a restaurant doing my system order, and I got 3 reviews in 10 minutes, all 1 star on Sunday, right even open. And I was like, okay, what's going on? I went and looked, and every one of these guys, I looked at their other reviews, had 1 star in every restaurant in town, except for a few.
Uh-huh.
And so I snarkily commented back to all of them. The one guy's like, anyways, I don't want to take too much time. But basically, I responded snarkily, and then I get all these college students coming to me, and they're like, hey, we were reading through you guys' reviews. This is hysterical. This is the funniest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know if I should be snarky or not. Some of these guys.
Yeah, I think you got lucky, and kudos to you. It's a dangerous road. It could pay off for you, but our recommendation is it's a risk-reward thing, and let's eliminate as much of the risk as we can. Any other thoughts, questions on that topic? Excellent. The other thing is, I love the fact that reviews make you human. Okay, in today's day and age, everything's electronic. It's hard to add a human component to an internet entity. Okay, responding provides a little bit of emotion. It makes you human. People do business with people. Okay, and a lot of times, financial decisions are emotional decisions. It provides that element. So again, that's another positive there. Okay, we won't go into some of the fun ones. Fake, yeah, I know, right? Fake reviews, we haven't talked about it. I do want to throw this out there. Please be vigilant about watching those fake reviews. The example that you brought up of, hey, we can't find it in our records, that is our recommendation when a competitor leaves a review. If you know that's a competitor, you can't call them out and just be like, oh, you son of a gun, blah, blah. No, that's not the forum. I'm so sorry that your experience didn't meet your expectations. We can't find you in our records. Help us understand when you were here, what service we offered or whatever. We'd like to talk with you about how we can make this right. So be vigilant about that. One fun thing to watch for, I should mention, you can buy reviews, by the way. Don't, okay? Don't fall into that trap. It's like buying links in SEO. Yeah, it might work for a little bit, but it will come back to burn you, and that will be very, very bad for you. To the extent of, maybe you've got 300 reviews, you buy 50 more reviews, and then the next month Google removes all 350 reviews. Okay, even though a lot of those could have been legitimate, if they find any, you run the risk of having all of your reviews removed. Same thing on Yelp, same thing on a lot of the other sites. Just don't fall into that trap. It's a whole lot cheaper and easier to get reviews organically or to pay for a service to help you send out invitations than it will be to recoup that. However, your competitors, because all of you are very, very ethical people, your competitors could buy reviews. This is an example of one. We were doing some work for a client, and we saw, before we took them on, we saw that they had purchased a ton of reviews. This is an example of one of the reviewers. Google looks at this and says, well, wait a minute, you can only live in one place. This looks awfully fishy unless you're just like a world traveler. These are paid for reviews. They're either 1-star or they're 5-star. There are no in between if they are bought. Because they're either buying them for guerrilla warfare, and that's a 1-star review every time, or they're buying them for 5-star reviews for themselves. So this is one way to spot this. If you spot these types of reviewers, please, if they reviewed you and it was negative, flag it as inappropriate. That is your one recourse. Flag it as inappropriate. Get everybody on your staff to flag it as inappropriate, and that elevates it to Google, and they could investigate that reviewer and remove it. It's a fantastic way to get it done. Other than that, just don't buy reviews. We'll turn time over to some Q&A. We've only got a couple of minutes left here, but go ahead.
You said don't buy reviews, but some of the review programs, they filter reviews. What's your filter reviews?
Good question. My approach on filtering reviews, our service asks a filter question. So when you click on, yes, hey, you get the text message from us, yes, I want to leave, Bob's Truck Shop a review. The first question you get is, how was your experience? Was it positive or negative? If they hit positive, we send them to a page that says you want to leave a review on Google, Facebook, Yelp, wherever, and then we take them there. If it was negative, we do offer that option to filter those reviews and have negative feedback go straight to the owner instead of giving them to Google. Okay? Google does not like that. Yelp does not like that. They want nice, organic, natural reviews. That does not strictly violate their terms of service, okay? But they frown upon that. With that said, Google invested $32 million in a review-generating company, and they ask filtering questions. Okay? Did that help answer? Okay?
And your service does include questions.
We offer that as an option. You can also remove that though. If you remove that filtering question, your number of reviews actually goes up, but you lose the control over the quality of those reviews. But with that said, our recommendation is don't ask the filtering question. If you're comfortable with your customer service, and if you do get a negative review, if you're Johnny on the spot to respond to those, then it's not going to hurt you. Go ahead and go ahead and remove the filtering question. Did that help? Okay. Other questions?
Use the mic so we can answer your question.
What if you have like an out-of-state reviewer?
So out-of-state reviewers can happen. They're coming in, visiting family, whatever. That is a natural thing, but this, whatever it was on that last group, that is not natural. All of those reviews come from, other places. It is natural. Respond to it just as if it was a regular review. However, if you think that review is fake, mark it as inappropriate, and have everybody you know mark it as inappropriate.
And the second part of that, how would you make it right if they're a one-time, but they're not going to come back like another season or something, like Yellowstone, for example?
I would say, please contact us. We would love to make this right for you. That kind of puts the ball in their court to take some action. One thing I'd throw out there is don't say, hey, your next visit is on us, because then everybody's like, oh, sweet, these guys just give stuff away. That's not what we're looking for. We're looking for that phone call, that communication to make it right. If they're out of state, I would still offer that as an opportunity. Did that help out? Okay, excellent. Any other, please. Oh, she's coming around with the mic.
Okay, so the question I have is, a lot of times our reviews will not move around on, say, Google. Like, well, on the same one, let's say the first week we opened, someone gave us at this restaurant a bad review. And it's always at the top. And yet when I go to filter, I change it to most recent, I look at how we're doing.
Yeah.
Is there anything new about that?
There is. So again, you need to take control of the conversation. Okay? So when I send out, let's say I was in your shoes, okay, and I want to coach people so that we can get a review to take the place of that negative one, what I would say is Google's algorithm to identify which reviews to put up there as far as most relevant have to do with what the person was searching for. Okay? Let's say you own a barbecue joint, okay? And I search for barbecue food in Rexburg. The reviews that come up will oftentimes have barbecue food in Rexburg. Okay? So when you coach somebody, when you're asking for that review, you can say, hey, how was your experience? They say, good. Would you feel comfortable leaving us a review? Yes, we would. Great. We'd love to hear about how we are the very best barbecue in Rexburg. That will plant the seed in their mind to include that type of a phrase inside of that review. Does that make sense? You can coach a little bit, but ultimately it's still an algorithm. Google decides what shows up as most relevant based on how many times it's viewed, whether it kind of gets thumbs up, thumbs down, flagged as inappropriate, or what's inside of it. We're short on time here. Come chat with me after. I'm happy to answer any questions you got. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate that.